right, this is track 4 in Palace 2, Denial of Service as a Service and Asymmetrical Warfare at its Finest.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rod Mass. I'm CEO of Swift Identity, and we're a startup actually working on changing the world when it comes to security, authentication, and identity management. So check out our website. So today I'm going to be talking about denial of service as a service and an investigation we did. I've been in the security industry for over 20 years, and I have 2 young hackers in training right now at 3 and 5 years old. And you know, it was a really interesting experience. I thought it'd be interesting sharing what we did and how we actually finally caught a guy and got him arrested. So one morning we got a call from a mid-sized ISP, and that ISP actually is a very big ISP in the region up in Canada. And on November 25th, 2012, they started getting some attacks. And it started actually about 1 a week, and that eventually escalated quickly. And what's interesting about that is that when you're an ISP out in these more regional areas, you do everything there. So just to give you an idea, 911 went down. Don't ask me what 911 was doing on the internet. Voice over IP, all the residential people started losing their service. And even a chicken farm lost a couple of thousand chickens because the management system was using the internet to manage the chicken farm. So it actually had a pretty broad impact. So basically the way it would work is during business hours we'd get these traffic, these large attacks, and it would ramp up pretty quickly. And the initial actual target of the attack was a customer of the ISP. They weren't attacking the ISP per se. And what was also interesting is that ISP didn't use RFC 1918 addresses internally. They had publicly routable IP addresses even on their internal network. So when they started getting attacked, it affected basically everyone. So everything would go down, and I remember these conference calls we'd have when the attacks started happening, and I'd be calling in over a normal phone, and the employees of the company would start dropping calls because their voice over IP would go down as they were being attacked. So that was kind of funny in a not so funny way. So where do you start? So they called me and said, Rob, we need you to help us. We hear you know what you do when it comes to this. I said, let's take a look at the logs. And the logs of the attack itself, I mean, they're open DNS resolvers. The Cloudflare guy talked about it today. So this is, the IPs almost were absolutely meaningless. So I concentrated on, an hour before the attack, did we see anything specific, probing specific ports? And there's nothing useful. And the only thing I really had to work with is one potential suspect. So this guy used to be a network admin, and he used to work for a company called Concepta. This is all public information. It's been in the news in Canada. And this guy actually left to start a company. And his company, oddly enough, specialized in DDoS protection. So, using some open source intelligence, we took a look at LinkedIn, Facebook, Whois, Googled a few things to see what we can find. So the first thing we found was, and it's small for you, I apologize in advance, but in his LinkedIn, it says his technical background, where he worked and stuff, so get a bit of a background on him. And then, so what we did was we started searching for Concepta on Google to see what would turn up, and a lot of usernames were popping up on hacker forums. So the other thing that was interesting is in Canada, in the section or the region I live, it's English and French. And when a French person writes in English, it's pretty evident. So when the guy would ask questions on these hack forums, the English was so bad, I was like, this guy has to be a French Canadian. And also, the guy signed up in November asking DDoS questions, which was the same day the attack started. So the other thing that was interesting is on his Facebook, he liked a DDoS service called Demolition Stressor. So this guy was starting to look good. And he's saying, hey, I need to, I want to attack a small website. I don't have LOIC or, it's not enough in terms of what I have. I can pay for this without any problem. Please, if you have a nice botnet, contact me, user Concepta. So, that was kind of interesting. And then on another hack forum, people are saying, hey, we're giving out DDoS and booter services. And that guy's like, yeah, I'll take a free account. Okay, that was good. And then, he's helping people on how to DDoS other websites. So a very friendly, helpful guy. And eventually, someone says, here's a booter, and he's like, thanks, give it to me, very appreciative. So we had a lot of good stuff going. And then on his Facebook page, as we mentioned before, he had a like at the bottom, which happened to be in November 2012, of a website called Demolition Stressor. And at that time, I didn't know what a stressor was. I mean, I knew about DDoS attacks and stuff, but I didn't know that stressor was the operative word in the community. So I was like, oh, demolition stressor, that's kind of interesting. So what can we find? Well, based on the date on his Facebook page, there's at the bottom this link, and when you clicked on it, it would actually go to a website called Ragebooter. And I believe Brian Krebs talked a bit about this whole community in his blog, so there's really a lot of interesting things about the stressor and booter community. And so now we knew, well, Ragebooter, the guy likes Ragebooter, maybe we have enough information. So we call local police, because that's how it starts, and we say, hey, we think we're being attacked. So then, the police officer takes the call. He's like, well, what do you mean you're attacked? Like someone hit you with a baseball bat? And I'm like, no, it's with a computer. And he goes, someone hit you with a computer? No. It's like, I have to kind of, explain it. Now, that being said, it's a local state law enforcement guy, super nice guy, or provincial for us in Canada, super nice guy, sympathetic. He's like, look, I need more stuff. And he's like, can you give me logs? So I'm like, I can give you terabytes of logs, but there's not much that's going to help you. So we didn't have enough meat, and we were on our own. They wouldn't even go to a prosecutor. So we needed more information, and the only lead I had now was this guy and this website called Ragebooter. So then I started investigating the world as DDoS as a service, and as an entrepreneur and business guy, I found a really fascinating business model. A lot of people have been victims, and how do you track this down? So what I did was I went to Ragebooter and I signed up, and I got a $200 lifetime membership, which was awesome. And when I first got it, I need to test it, of course. So how do you test it? Well, you test it on your friends that run websites. And I'd call them and say, hey, how's your bandwidth going? Oh, we're going to attack. Okay, so now I know it works. I go, how much bandwidth are you getting? And within about 10 minutes, I was getting about 5 gigabits per second of traffic with this $200 account. And the other thing, from a business plan, you have easy plans and pricing. You have a day trial at $250. You have the Rage Bronze Monthly at $5. This is not a lot of money for the capability that you have as an attacker. So I got the Bronze Lifetime for, no, actually it was the $200 one, it's not there. So the other thing also is there's an easy to use GUI. You can do layer 4 attacks, layer 7 attacks, layer 3 attacks, anything you want is there. So everyone remember Mafia Boy? This is a fancier version that anyone can use, and anyone could be an attacker with that $50 plan or a $200 plan. Very powerful stuff. So for me, what was really interesting was it's really asymmetrical warfare. If you think of, from a military perspective, what people do interact with IEDs, take out an M1 Abrams tank, you have very little resources being spent to take down these huge entities. So 99% of my customers, I'm talking billion-dollar businesses, could be affected by some of these attacks that are not already on these DDoS protection servers. And even Ragebooter itself was protected by Cloudflare. So I thought that was interesting too, because as soon as you go to Ragebooter, it says protected by Cloudflare. So that's obviously no negative comment towards Cloudflare, it's just an observation. And what happens when you get 10 gigs of traffic? Even if you have, it doesn't defy the laws of physics. If you have a pipe being filled up, there's nothing you can do about it. So how do we think out of the box on this one? I was pretty much stuck. I knew Ragebooter I had a feeling Ragebooter was being used. I knew that that person, I had a good feeling, but it wasn't solid enough evidence for the police to get interested. And a sales guy of the company who's tired of calling all his customers, explaining why they're going down, said, bro, ask the guy for the logs on Ragebooter. He actually didn't say bro because he's French. He said, hey, mon ami. But, he's like, can you get the logs from this guy? I'm like, why would the guy from Ragebooter give me the logs? Like, it doesn't make sense, but you know what? I have absolutely nothing to lose. Why not? So, you go on the website. They have a great customer service plan. You click on add them onto your Skype contact. And basically what I did was they said, hey, can I buy the log of Ragebooter? And the guy goes, no, you can't do that. We don't have any logs or whatever. And they said, look, your system is being used to attack someone that's having very strong impacts on a community, okay? I don't care. I don't want to necessarily I'm not going to call the cops on you or anything. I just need to have access because I need to stop it. That's like my main concern. I'm not a police officer. I'm just a consultant trying to get a job done. It's not going to go to court. I'm not going after you. What can you do? So he goes, look, I can't give you the logs, but let me check to see if our service is being used to attack you. It's like, yeah, I'll take what I can get. Sounds good. So he goes, yeah, like there's an attack now, and our site's being used. And by accident, he copy-pasted the log into the Skype chat. So so what happened was I'm typing, and then I see IPs and names and stuff, and then it says this message has been removed in like seconds, and the username that appeared in that chat log for a split second was Concepta. So I was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Like how do I, get this information? So on another screen, I'm like Googling a Skype chat, what do I do? Like, is it saved somewhere? Is there a text? And I basically wrote at the bottom, like right below that yellow line, I said, dude, I saw the IPs, just give them to me. He wouldn't give them to me. So now I'm like, I know I have enough, but I need the solid evidence to go to the police. So now what happens is, I saw the destination username attack variables. Unfortunately, I don't have photographic memory. And I Googled dump OSX memory. Maybe it's live in memory. And I found this software called OSXPmem. I need to buy that guy a beer or a bottle of wine. And I ran it against my memory live, and it dumped out everything like a 4 gig file. So I ran strings on the file, and what did I find? I found all the information I needed. I saw Concepta 2, I saw the IP address, I saw the command that was used, the date and time it was used. So now I had the information I was really looking for. So now we have enough evidence. We know that the suspect is an ex-employee of Concepta who has already previously admitted to other employees where he used to work that he used to control botnets. We also know that he started a company that specialized in DDoS protection. He also did a like on Facebook of RageBooter, or demolition stressor. And from the logs we got on RageBooter, we have, I think, what's good enough to go see the police. The thing is, even then, they're still a bit hesitant. So we looked at taking another strategy, which is the civil strategy. And a lot of people don't know this, but in the civil world, you can actually get an equivalent of a search warrant called an Anton Pillar. So you go to the judge, you say, I want to be, and it's usually mostly used in intellectual property cases when you're trying to go to a company to seize their information to see if they copied your IP. So we went to a judge, we said, look, we suspect this company that is doing anti-DDoS protection is actually behind DDoS attacks, and we want to go there, seize the servers, do an analysis, and see what's going on. So these are very tough, but amazingly the lawyer convinced the judge to get it. We were granted orders to search the house, and he said, you know what? Go on a Sunday. So off we went. Minus 20 Celsius, minus 4 that morning. It was very cold. And it's about an hour and a half away. And you were about 15 people to show up at the guy's house. You have the police, you have the bailiffs, you have computer forensic experts, you have the lawyers. You have to have 3 lawyers. You have to have an impartial lawyer. His lawyer eventually shows up, and the lawyer of the customer. Lots of lawyers, very expensive by the hour. And I was there. So we show up, the guy lets us in, and there's something wrong. It really, I was like, there's something wrong here. The guy knew we were coming. So how did he know that we were coming? Because when I got in, I didn't see a guy stressed out at all. He was just there, yeah, no problem, here's my server, here's all my passwords. His wife looked pissed, but she wasn't too stressed out. And I was like, here, go for it. So I set the expectation right with the customer, this guy probably wiped everything, so I don't know if we're gonna find anything. And he was smiling the whole way. We went through terabytes of data, spent the day there, copied everything, and then brought it back. Now once we did that, we started getting word that the Crown prosecutor was interested. That if we got the judge to approve the Anton Pillar, now maybe law enforcement and the prosecutor could take it more seriously. So the suspect actually tried to quash the Anton Pillar, saying that it wasn't allowed. The judge threw it out, and then we took the drives and we gave a copy to the prosecutor. So now we were doing our analysis, and the provincial police was doing the analysis as well. So a few days later, perp walk, the guy was arrested. And I don't think he saw it coming. I mean, this guy thought he deleted everything. He thought there's no way we could find it. He thought he could hide behind logs and all sorts of different things. And in the end, we were able to get enough to arrest him. So what were the lessons learned? Like, what did really came out of this investigation? So when you wipe the drive, wipe the whole drive. Now what this guy did was he used some software, I forget what it's called, but it does, when you wipe the drive, it wipes the free space, slack space, and it puts Z's across everything. But it wipes the empty part, or the slack space. So what happens is, it doesn't wipe your backups. So all the backups were there that had all the logs. So that was one thing. Don't create an account with your own name. That's usually not very good. The police can only do so much. So it was good. I mean, I have good relationship. I've done quite a bit of stuff with law enforcement. I had a good relationship with them. But you got to do the heavy lifting on some of these cases. They don't have necessarily the expertise or the time because they're chasing drug dealers and money launderers and stuff like that. So you got to do a bit of the heavy lifting yourself. Don't like websites used to commit a crime. Don't pay with PayPal. So the other thing that we found on his computer were logs of him paying with PayPal, with his cell phone and everything to the website. So that website, Rage Booter took PayPal and something like eGold or something like that. So, you know, there was a trace there as well. Everyone makes mistakes. And you know what? Think out of the box, because if we would have never thought out of the box, we would have never caught this guy. So thanks. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'm here for any questions.